Greetings in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, Melech of Yasharal, Kahan forever, according to the order of Melchizedek. All esteem, honor, and glory unto our Alua, Yahuwah. This is Melech Shalama Trading, and I'm going to break down on the ES futures right here, why I took this trade. So, this trade is basically a Black Sun strategy. It's a buying climax, right? So, in the Wyckoff theory, right? This is the buying climax right here, right? So when we get the buying climax, you get like buying exhaustion or absorption, right? So with these sweeps right here, you see these green indicators right here that say 79 next to it, 100, 114, and 82, right? Or yeah, 82. So these here are showing that there's buy sweeps, right? So buy sweeps actually indicate that there's a possible reversal coming, right? So you might have a counter rotation because when you sweep price, they usually come back to fill orders that they kind of missed, right? So when the price sweeps between these levels, it usually comes back to fill these orders right here, right? So these orders actually come back to kind of facilitate trade. Because if you miss levels, they usually want to come back and fill those levels with orders, right? So basically, this is a heavy liquidity on the offer, right? This is Camarilla R3, right? So I'm looking for, this is my resistance level, Camarilla R3. And also it's a double pivot zone with the bottom central pivot also in line with Camarilla R3, right? This is also overnight high at 64.1750. Camarilla R3 is at 64.1875 and bottom central pivot is at 64.1950. So with this being the buying climax, I'm looking for the automatic reaction, right? So basically the automatic reaction comes after the buying climax and you get like a sharp downside rotation, right? So the reason I took this trade right here at around 64.1875 at the Camarilla R3 level, and then I'm looking for it to come back down to around central pivot, and actually I might have to take a trade here. Actually missing this trade. Hold on. I needed to pop back up a little bit. All right, so while we wait, let me just explain this trade here again. So took this trade here at Camarilla R3, looking for it to quickly break down to the central pivot to make the, oh, this is my trade right here. Right, that's my trade. So I'll explain why I took that trade in a second. Right, so basically took this trade here, Camarilla R3, looking for it to get down to the central pivot to create the automatic reaction. But then we stalled around here. So I stopped out somewhere around right here, right? So entered here, stopped out around here. Oh, I'm getting stopped out here again. So let me just hold on. All right, gonna jump back in that trade right there. It's another setup. It's a uptrust, right? We got absorbed by this liquidity 533. We have buy sweeps. We have heavy volume. We have the Camarilla R3 level, and my stop is up here, just above the uptrust level. So I'm looking for it to start breaking down to the central pivot, back down to the automatic reaction level, and break down further, right? So let me explain this trade again. So buying climax, stopped out here when it kind of stalled, right? Because we kind of rotated here and started coming back up. But I'm looking for a quick flush down for the automatic reaction. So we didn't get to the central pivot on this leg right here. We kind of bounced back up. So I stopped out right there, right? So let price come back down, creates the automatic reaction at the central pivot level as I anticipated. Then we push back up, push above the buying climax, run into this liquidity, gets absorbed. We have buying sweeps going off, right? We're getting absorbed by this offer right here as well on the way up. Liquidity is still on the offer above. Take this trade here at the up trust, and we're just going to leave this trade, let it play out, right? So usually it's going to break down a little bit. It's going to retest, break down, retest. This is my first target here at my first partial is going to be at 64.12.25, right? Kind of in alignment with just above VWAP. So let's see what the trade does now. So I have my alert set on Camarilla R3, so that's the chiming you might be hearing right there. And since I already know we got to Camarilla R3, let me take that off. So we could possibly still get back up here and test this liquidity up here, but I'm thinking sellers are going to start taking control around this level, break us back down to the central pivot at 64.15, and then we're going to break down this this automatic reaction level and then hit my first partial.
Tracking. Iceberg ESL.
And this strategy here is called the Black Sun strategy, right? So we take a quick short here, buying climax to automatic reaction, but I didn't get the full thing, right? Then when it comes back up, we take another entry short for the uptrust. And that's when we want price to distribute past the automatic reaction and start breaking down, right? So after the uptrust is created, we start to look for tests and LPSYs, right? So anything really above the automatic reaction, these pullbacks above the automatic reaction, like here, is called tests until we break down the automatic reaction. If we break down here and then we start coming back, this would be called a LPSY, right? But usually this would be called a test right here. And stuff like this, test. So what we could have is a UTAD, that's a uptrust after distribution. So if price breaks above this uptrust right here, that's a uptrust after distribution. That's a possibility for us to get stopped out here, right? Now, if it does happen like that again, I could possibly take the trade again, right? So if this breaks down from this level, that's a test. Then we go down to the automatic reaction. And also part of this strategy is also the VWAP bands, right? So this is, hold on one second, let me use the arrow, right? So this is +3 upper deviation, that's plus 2.5, that's +2, and that's +1, right? So I'm always looking for distribution to take place within the upper deviations, right? And then we start breaking back down to VWAP. So I'm looking for the upper deviations to be in line also with these pivot levels here. We also have overnight high. That's yesterday's VWAP. That's the central pivot. So this is looking like a good test right here, right? We didn't break above the uptrust level. So my stop is still in a nice place. We gotta break down these levels here now, come down to the automatic reaction, and start breaking down and create those LPSYs and further breakdown. And this trade right here where I got stopped out, oh, hold on, right? So this is basically taking the uptrust a little too early, right? Let me just pull back. Right, so we did break above. We actually just got to the buying climax level, right? That's where I took that trade right there, and it came and stopped me out on the uptrust, right? So maybe I should have waited a little bit, let it push above the uptrust. So that's something I gotta make note of. That was a mistake right there to take the trade exactly at the buying climax. I should have waited for it to break above, right? And then I could have kept this profit here on this trade. So what I'm looking for as well, we have the volume, the buying climax volume, I mean the uptrust volume. Buying volume is high. Then we have some decent selling volume, and buying volume has fallen all the way off, right? And now we're getting some more selling volume, no response from the buyers.
Iceberg ES sell.
So what I want to see is some heavy volume starting to attack these levels,
Boom.
right? So break down these levels, get to this liquidity, and let's see what we do at this liquidity levels around 64.16, and basically the automatic reaction level at the central pivot. So if you look, these are iceberg sellers. So we have a lot of iceberg sellers right there. That's in the purple, right? Iceberg sellers, iceberg sellers. We have a couple iceberg buyers as well, but not much, right? So we have some volume here again. We have a breakdown of this level, breakdown of this level here, or exactly at 64.1675. Now we have to start getting to this liquidity and see what we do there. We have 7 stops coming out, 5 stops, 4 stops. So stops are being triggered here as we break down. So these guys here, right? This is what happens in a distribution. The buyers are getting trapped here. And as the selling pressure, because as they're coming up here, sellers are selling into them. We could see them on the offer, and also they'd be selling into these aggressive buyers, right? Even when this comes back up, now this could come back up and stop me out. But if this is a test, every time they push back up here, buyers are entering and they're selling to them, right? That's how you get something like a buying exhaustion. So when they're buying up or trying to buy at these support levels, sellers are going to sell to them right there, right? Back at this Camarilla R3 level. and then eventually, excuse me, eventually the buyers are going to get exhausted, and that's when the selling pressure is going to take over and they're going to start pushing down below these levels. So let's see if that's going to happen. So right now we have some tests, right? We have another test right here. And now we want to see some breakdown into the automatic reaction, retest it for LPSY, and start creating that kind of price action going down. And that's the Black Sun strategy. So let's see if it plays out. All right, so let me take a look at where my targets are, because I'm seeing that there's a weekly POC level at 6403. Did I put that on? Let's see. But anyway, my structured take profits are at 64.12.25, 64.08.25, and then 64.04.50. So it's kind of lining up properly. These are weekly deviation bands. So this is coming down to the first lower deviation. That's yesterday's VWAP. That's 2-week VPOC. And this right here, let me open it up. That's the weekly VPOC session so far, and this is the IB30 HVN. So this is where the volume points of control was at 30 minutes, or let's call it, yeah, 10 o'clock. So this is where the HVN was, or the volume point of control was at 10 o'clock. So let me just pull that back so you could see. Right, so volume point of control is still at this level, right? At, let's see if we could highlight it, around 64,750.
Boom. Sweep ES sellers.
So this is a little zoomed out view of the possible distribution. You see, this is the automatic reaction. All right, buying climax, automatic reaction, uptrust, test, test, and now we want to get down here, right? Possibly get down to this level here like this, do a bounce back, get my first target, do a bounce back, second target, and so on and so forth, you know. But let's see if it's gonna do that. Right, so we do have some buying pressure coming in. Right, you see some buying volume coming in there. But notice what's happening, right? Right, we have buying spikes, volume pressure imbalance is spiking right there. And what we have right here. We have an iceberg seller. And what do we have? Exhaustion, right? So we're coming down to liquidity on the bid. These guys are passive buyers. So this is basically like if you took a buy right here, price went up, created the uptrust, but you're not looking at it from a Wyckoff perspective or a distribution perspective. You're looking at it as a breakout, right? So right now you're trapped as a buyer here, you're trapped here. You possibly,
Boom.
let's say
Sweep
you took
ES
this
sellers.
breakout, you supported your entry, took it up here, and now these are your stop loss levels. What you see here is 56 stops coming out. So way more stops coming out, right? As we start breaking down these levels. So this is where these guys entered. So what's going to possibly happen is they're going to try and step in here a little bit and support price, right? So basically all of this here, possible stop losses, and we can see there's an increase in the sell stops coming out. And this is the distributor right here, right? All of this, that's the distributor selling to any buying pressure that's coming in.
Boom. Sweep ES sellers.
So we have a selling
Boom.
volume pressure
Sweep
spike
NQ
right there.
buyers.
Might get a little rotation. Distributor is still right there. So usually when you get a breakdown of a
Boom. Sweep
consolidation like
NQ
this,
buyers. Bang.
you get a retest of
Attention
the
NQ
low.
sellers.
So buying volume,
Stop
right?
run NQ
Remember I
by
told you they
Whiteout.
will try and
Stop
defend
run
their
NQ
their
by
um,
Whiteout.
position.
Boom. Sweep
Let's see
ES
what
buyers.
happens. So what are they running into right here? This iceberg seller, the distributor is right here. Notice how price action kind of stalls. We have buy sweeps. You see we swept some levels. The volume point of control, this light blue line, is migrating up. So this is the highest volume for the session so far. Right? So buyers defending their position. Let's see what happens.
Boom. Sweep ES buyers.
All right, so let's take a closer look at what's happening at this volume point of control after the buyers try to defend their position here. So let's see. Are we getting buying exhaustion here? We have iceberg sellers again. Buyers still applying pressure.
Tracking.
So see
High
what
swing
happened
NQ
right there.
buy.
Buyers getting absorbed by sellers, aggressive sellers. Still attempting to buy. We have the offer putting pressure on the buyers right here. Right, 120 on the offer. Seller comes back in, iceberg seller, comes back on the offer again, 120, well, they got absorbed, putting it back on 110, getting absorbed. So now they're switching to the bid. So let's see what happens here if the sellers take them on. Right, and there's your sellers right at the volume point of control. Nothing heavy on the offer until about 64.19. Oh, they came in here again at around 64.18.25, 111. We're getting below the volume point of control, that light blue line. Iceberg buyers trying to step in. The offer is still applying pressure. No bid support until 64.16. Sell stops coming out. So this was the buy. This is where the buyers made their play, right? Came back up here, still trying to make a play. Right, and this is where I usually used to get in a little trouble, where the consolidation, I used to try and overmanage the trade, and I used to miss the breakdown, right? So I would bring my stop closer here, try to micromanage in case we break above, kind of getting scared that my stop would still get hit, right? But you basically gotta accept the risk, right? So you put on the trade. My stop is above this uptrust level. If we do get a UTAD, it'll take me out, and that's that, right? But I can't afford to start moving my stop if I don't get a proper breakdown, right? So usually in the distribution after the uptrust, you might get that sideways movement for a prolonged time. So the reason it does that is because the sellers want to sell off as much as they could, so they're not going to apply enough pressure to actually move price all the way down, right? Because they could dump all their shares right now or all their contracts, right here, and you'll get that big sweep down, right? But if they do that, they're gonna really scare away the buyers, right? So they want the buyers to keep on stepping in around these levels, so when they come back up here, they can sell to them, right? That's why you see those iceberg sellers stepping in at these levels, right? So the buyers can't take price up anymore. They put in all this volume, right? But the volume is actually heavier on the sell side. So when the buyers are thinking, okay, we could support price and we're gonna get the breakout, we're gonna get a breakout of overnight high, and we're gonna push further up, it's actually sellers selling into them at these levels, right? And they want this rotation to prolong as much as they could, the sellers that is, so they can get to sell off their contracts at good prices around these 64.19 levels, right? So that's why in this trade, don't get too jumpy. Or for me, I'm just speaking for myself. This is not your setup. This is just something that might inspire you to create something similar, right? So
Sweep and
I'm
Q
using the
sellers.
Wyckoff theory
Stop
where
run and Q sell
don't get too
wipeout.
jumpy when price starts rotating and put your stop just above these levels because the sellers could let them peek through, the buyers push through so they can sell to them up at these levels here. You see they have offers on they have liquidity on the offer. You see how it's stacked up, right? Now these are the stop losses that are getting taken out. We have 88 stops going off, 19 to 88. Previously was 89. So now we're taking on this liquidity. You see these guys are removing their stops, right? So what might be happening is that before their stop gets hit, they start adding to the selling pressure, right? So if they start adding to the selling pressure, the actual seller might prop up price a little bit, give them a little hope. They might jump back in on like FOMO, and he'd sell to them again, right? So this is my first target here, just below VWAP. So let's see what happens. I think I have it set up where I think 6 points in. So what is my 64.20 is my entry. So I should get to break even around, let's see, 64.14.25. I think we almost got there. But anyway, this is what I was talking about with the LPSY. So this here could be labeled a LPSY. See how we broke down the automatic reaction, which was at the central
Boom.
pivot,
Sweep ES buyers.
right? Now
Stop
this
run
is going to be the
ESY wipeout.
LPSY.
Boom. Sweep ES sellers.
So after we actually clear this distribution level here, this is where I could start to kind of manage the trade, right? After I get my first take profit, I can start to manage the trade where, okay, I could put it just above this level here. So if we do come back into the range after we start breaking down to these levels, right? Like overnight low and stuff. If we do come back into the range, then I could secure the profits, right? But you have to let the trade, and I'm speaking for myself again, I have to let the trade play out
Boom.
up
Sweep
to a
and Q
certain
sellers.
level before I start managing it, right? So you see we come down here to 64.14.25. My stop moves to break even. So right now this is a free
Boom.
trade.
Sweep ES
If
sellers.
price does come back to break even, then I didn't lose anything, right? But as of right now, we 862.50 up right now. So still waiting to get to VWAP. See, VWAP is this green line right here. I'm highlighting it. RTH VWAP. And we have some liquidity here. So this would be probably buyers. Hold on. Right. So this would be probably buyers want to step in here again. Right. Let's see. Right. So you see they initially took here the buy sweeps, the heavy buying volume. You see where it's happening. You see where the liquidity is now stacking up, right? So they're defending their position right here, right? So they took the initiative, bought at VWAP or bought the VWAP breakout. That's VWAP right here, right? So their liquidity or their stops would be here. You see we have 113 stops going
Sweep
off,
ES sellers.
75 stops going off. Got my first target. So my stop is now trailing by 6 points, I believe. right? So my stop moves from break even and it starts trailing down, right? So the second target is going to be down here at VPOC, the weekly VPOC session, right? So you see now we're distributing, right? So we're going into phase E of the distribution. So we're actually trending downwards now, right? So the trailing
Sweep
stop is
ES
set up
buyers.
properly where it's actually just above the LPSY. So I don't really have to do anything to manage this trade, you know? I kind of gauge like how much the market moves, right? So usually they kind of move in like 6 point increments. So I decided to have my trailing stops at around 6 points, right? So
Boom. Sweep
usually
ES sellers.
if it's really coming back, it has to really come back to take me out of the
Boom.
trade before I
Sweep
get my
ES
next
sellers.
take profit, right? So we're gonna see what kind of sellers we have here. We have 151 stops there adding to the selling pressure. We're at VWAP, so we could get some VWAP traders or like algos stepping in at VWAP. This is also the value area low, previous value area low. So we could
Boom.
get
Sweep gold buyers. Bang.
algos trying to
Absorption
step in
gold
here to
sellers.
support this level and keep us within value from the previous day. But let's see what's happening, right? So
Bang.
basically,
Absorption gold buyers.
sell stops are creating this distribution here as well. They're adding to the selling pressure. And any algo that's buying here is getting sell into by the initial distributor from up here, right? So because people have like automatic buy orders, like these institutions, they automatically buy around these levels. So that's why you see prices stalling around here a little bit, because this is more fuel for the big seller to sell into, right? He can't get prices up here anymore because these initiative buyers, they're out of juice, right? But the supportive buyers, passive buyers could be around
Boom.
here. He could
Sweep
sell into
ES
them as
buyers.
well. So
Stop
let's
run
see if he's
ES
going
buy
to
wipeout.
overwhelm them with his contracts, his sell volume, and start pushing us down here again.
Boom. Sweep ES
All right, so the
sellers.
stop is trailing. We break down value area low and overnight low. We get into a high volume area here again.
Absorption gold buyers. Boom. Sweep gold sellers. Stop run gold buy wipeout.
That's also yesterday's VPOC, yesterday's settlement. All right, we having some selling exhaustion right there. See, there's very little sellers. So at this point now, even though my stop is trailing, I could look at price action around this VWAP level here and see if I want to actually take profit or if we're getting a reversal here or something like that. I don't see like really heavy volume right here to kind of think about maybe accumulation is taking place. It may just be, as I explained before, this is just where algos are stepping in to buy and the seller is going to continue selling into them. So if you notice, right, the buying volume, the buying dots are not really that aggressive, right? It's basically still sellers selling into these algos that's trying to buy. So what I gotta look out for is an extreme amount of volume. Now, probably more than this, right? That dries up like this. So this volume here matches, right? Buyers try to step in, but we still move down. We get volume again. It stalls a little bit, but it's at the VWAP level. Now, if we see heavy volume come in and we start getting like selling exhaustion like that, that's when we're looking to probably step out of the trade or come out of the trade because it could be buyers absorbing again.
Boom. Sweep ES buyers. Boom. Sweep ES sellers.
So when we get our second target, I might wanna, well, my trailing stop is probably, I think, gonna start trailing a little tighter after the second target, but let me see how I have it set up. All right, so that's the second target right there at 64.0825. We have an iceberg buyer stepping in front of it. We have liquidity on the bid. 56 stops is going off. All right, so this is the volume I was talking about. You see how volume is spiking right now? And we don't get selling following through to the downside. So we have a spike in selling volume, but we're moving in the wrong direction. And we do have the iceberg buyer stepping in right there. All right, so the selling volume takes over. So it's not buying absorption, right? So that's what we're looking out for. If we have heavy selling volume, tries to rotate to the upside and we get buyers really pushing up, that could be the sellers being absorbed. But if we have selling pressure and we're still moving to the downside, then it's in sync with what we're seeing, right? So we want selling pressure to be moving us to the downside, not selling pressure that's creating exhaustion and reversing to the upside, right?
Tracking. Iceberg ES buy. Tracking.
And this is my last take profit right here at 64.425, and it's looking like we're gonna get that. We have an iceberg seller here again. It's kind of behind the sell stop, 51 sell stops. 550 icebergs bought right there.
Boom. Sweep ES sellers.
And we should get our target now. All right, so that's the trade right there. Black Sun strategy executed flawlessly, right? We got well, not flawlessly because the buying climax that kind of gave back some. So that's the Black Sun strategy right there. Uptrust, sell entry. Wait for the breakdown of the automatic reaction, which is at this level, right? And then you're in phase E and you're just letting it play out, right? All right, y'all. So it's Melek Shalama Trading. I hope you all enjoyed the breakdown of my Black Sun strategy. This is a Wyckoff distribution at Camarilla R3 in the upper deviations, right? So you see those green lines right there. Those are the upper deviations. And also you might be seeing some yellow lines and a white line right here. That's VWAP from the ETH, which is in yellow. VWAP from the London session, which is the white one, and the green one is the RTH open VWAP, right? So you might see the deviations like this white and yellow right here. Those are just deviations from anchored from the ETH open and London session, right? So basically, Wyckoff distribution, in upper deviations, VWAP upper deviations, liquidity under offer, absorbing price. We have buy sweeps suggesting counter rotation, right? We wait for the distribution to take place. We have the tests. We have the
Sweep PS
LPSY
sellers.
right here, right? The breakdown LPSY and the distribution, right? Phase
Boom.
E
Sweep
distribution,
PS
right down
sellers.
into this liquidity here.
Bang.
Heavy volume
Approaching
coming
ES
in.
sellers.
That could possibly start
Boom.
consolidating price,
Sweep
or
ES
maybe we even
buyers.
start breaking down further, which we are breaking down further. All right, y'all. Y'all trade safe. Hope you all enjoyed the breakdown of my strategy. Y'all trade safe and stay blessed. Shalom.